घर आने के टाइम चप्पल और चाणक्य दोनों बाहर छोड़ के आना.
How does Chanakya or modern Chanakya approach conflict resolutions?
Actually start firing them left and right. तो मैं उल्टा क्या पंखे पे लटका दूंगा.
Chasing EMIs at the cost of their inner peace. Sometimes it could be relationships as well. So how can working professionals apply Chanakya's teachings to manage wealth wisely, reduce stress, and then basically, lead a balanced life, so without stress?
But also listen to Sanika's podcast. But Swadharma is one principle. Everybody is unique. Now what to do? Go back and become a teacher again. Become zero. Bhishmacharya is on the bed of arrows when he's waiting for death. He actually advises the Pandavas after the war how to have a good kingdom. It's a lesson on leadership.
Leaders create leaders.
If you use your power correctly, you can actually inspire people also. But team is not enough. There's a word called commitment of a team. I think a lot of people don't know what they are supposed to do. You have to understand one thing. God has given some natural talent to everybody. And think as if this is your last life and do maximum possible in that lifetime.
Even the strongest minds, they have their own weak moments, right?
How do you manage, procrastination or overwhelm, sir?
When you have these weak moments, when you don't have the internal strength, go and trust in God.
Beyond work mean to you, sir?
For me, it's family. Even today, 24 books. I'm writing 4 more books on Chanakya. I love Chanakya because he works on the principles which have stood the test of time. The debt trap, pay off the EMI, then you get into other debt, and it's endless cycle. Somewhere this vicious cycle has to be broken. Sarika, you've been a great host. I think your questions were very well researched, thought through, and I enjoyed this discussion with you.
Thank you so much, sir. It's truly an honor to, have you on our podcast. Today on Beyond Work, we have the extraordinary Dr. Radhakrishnan Pillai, one of India's top leadership thinkers, a best-selling author of 24 books, including the iconic Corporate Chanakya, and the founder and director of the Chanakya International Institute of Leadership Studies at the University of Mumbai. He has delivered over 1,000 lectures at premier institutions like IIMs, IITs, RBI, Indian Army, and leading corporates like Tata, Reliance, and Aditya Birla Group, and many more. Well, his contributions have earned him several prestigious honors, including the Avishkar Research Award, the Sardar Patel International Award, the Rotary International Award in Education, and recognition at the British Parliament's House of Lords called the Leto Fest Award. Recognized among India's top 50 management thinkers by Thinkers 50, Dr. Pillai is on a mission to integrate ancient Indian wisdom with modern leadership practices. Well, it's truly an honor to have him with us today. Well, before we dive in, a quick word about Beyond Work. Well, this podcast is built on one simple belief. Success isn't just about working harder, it's about thinking deeper, leading wiser, and living more purposefully. At Beyond Work, we bring you conversations with thought leaders, game changers, and modern day achievers who inspire us to look beyond the hustle and into what truly matters and truly drives sustainable success and fulfillment. If you enjoy conversations that challenge conventional thinking and spark new possibilities, I invite you to hit the subscribe button and join our growing community. Well, we have many more powerful discussions lined up, and trust me, you don't want to miss them. I am Sarika Rangani, your productivity coach. Thank you so much. As Chanakya said, the one who plans ahead will always win the battle of life. Today, we are diving into those timeless strategies, unplugged, raw, and super relevant to our fast-paced world. Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of Beyond Work. Today, I'm absolutely honored and thrilled to have with us a true modern-day Chanakya, Dr. Radhakrishnan Pillai, sir, the man whose work has helped thousands rethink leadership, strategy, and living a purposeful life. As a productivity coach myself, I have seen how ancient wisdom often holds the deepest answers for modern chaos. And today we are diving into that exactly. So let's jump right in. Hello, sir. Thank you so much for accepting to be on my podcast show, Beyond Work. Thank you so much for being here. I feel I'm the luckiest person in the whole world right now. So, sir, I always start our show with a fun fact about my guest where you have to share something that no one knows about you till now. Well, I'm all ears now, sir.
So first of all, thank you, Sarika ji. It's an honor to be on your show, and thank you for making me part of this discussion. I would say because a lot of new things will come out, and I also learn a lot when I'm reflecting on my own thoughts. So
Sure,
something
sir.
that others don't know about me. Okay, there is one thing where Chanakya Niti doesn't work. That's in my
What is
family.
that? I totally agree with you, sir. It never works in the families either. I have experienced it personally. So,
So there's a
yeah.
saying, घर आने के टाइम चप्पल और चाणक्य दोनों बाहर छोड़ के आना.
I think my mom would be the happiest person listening to this because she always says, keep your trainer hat outside, when you step in the home. Yeah, sure. Thanks for sharing that with us. Well, I want to ask something close to your heart before we dive deep into your mind. So, what's one quote or philosophy that you live by every single day?
Giving more than what we take.
Wow.
So this is something that has actually inspired me because from childhood I've been part of a spiritual organization called as Chinmaya Mission.
Wow.
And among the teachings of Chinmaya Mission, this is a part of the Chinmaya Mission pledge. So it says giving more than what we take. I think all of us take from the society, from our companies that we work, from the society, from our families. And that's a part of life. You have to give, take, no doubt about it. As children, we have taken more. But as you
Yes,
mature,
yes.
you have to give now. So as they say, it's lane then, you have to give and take. But the formula doesn't work
Absolutely.
like that. You actually should give more than what you take. For example, let's say, you have taken X amount of time or money from somebody. You give back with more interest. So let's say your parents have taken care of you, you have to take care of them. That's simple.
Right. Right.
But it's not like that. Can you take care of 3 more parents apart from your parents? Now that's, I think, giving more than what we take. Even when we take money from the bank, it is expected that we pay back with interest, right? So it's actually giving more
Right.
than what. So I'll tell you something interesting that happened in my life. When I learned the Artha Shastra and Chanakya Niti from my teachers, I asked them, what can I give? Interestingly, they did not take any fees.
Oh,
They said, yeah, so they said, go and spread the word to others.
okay. Mhm.
That's giving back, and that's my inspiration and my philosophy. Giving
Okay.
more than what you take.
Wow. Thank you, sir. That was truly inspiring. And otherwise, what is the point, sir? Everything becomes stagnant, right? Like there is no give and take, everything becomes stagnant. Yeah. Givers
Absolutely.
gain. So thank you for sharing that. And sir, you have worn many hats, being an author, speaker, professor, mentor, and a trainer, right? Which role do you enjoy the most and why?
Okay, there's one more hat that I wear as a businessman.
Oh, right.
So many people don't know this part of mine. 25 years ago, I actually started my first company called as Atma Darshan, which is into
Okay.
spiritual tourism. And we have taken more than 30,000 tourists from different parts of the world to see the spiritual part of India.
Oh,
We have
wow.
taken them to Kailash Mansarovar, we have taken them to Char Dham, we have taken them to so many temples, ashrams. And let me tell you, that's one unique hat. So if you look at my mentorship that I do today, it's also for businessmen because I understand the problems of businessmen. So which one do I enjoy the most? I think the role that I enjoy the most is definitely being a teacher. The reason being that, I think in our culture, in our society, teachers are respected the most as a social hierarchy also. अगर आप बोलोगे कि आप किसको ज्यादा रेस्पेक्ट करते हो, where do you respect the most? It starts with मातृ देवो भव, पितृ देवो भव, and acharya devo bhava. The teacher,
Right.
even though comes third, we also consider mother as our teacher. And let me tell you, I've been very fortunate. I'm a formal professor also. That's the academic side of mine. But also, I'm an indirect teacher to so many people. So, I give some advice, maybe informally or formally as a consultant. Sometimes I give advice or tips through my books, my writings, my posts. And I've seen people coming back and saying, "Sir, thank you so much. It actually changed my life." I say, it's not me, it's Bhagwan's wisdom, it is Chanakya's wisdom. So I think when you get this feedback of saying that, your ideas worked, because a teacher can change your life forever. My teachers changed my life. And I'm sure when I look back at my students, and many of them are successful globally, in various fields. Some of them are politicians, some of them are businessmen. In fact, some of my students have been also spiritual leaders.
Oh, wow.
Some of them, yeah. In fact, I was quite surprised. I met some people and say, "Okay, I've joined this order of being a monk." Monk, okay. But you inspired me. Where did I inspire you? I'm not a monk. They say, no, actually, we learned a lot about spirituality from you, etc. I also train the army. I train a lot of other people. So my students are, very wide and deep also. And as a formal PhD guide in some universities also. So I've seen the researcher student, the scientific community, the academic community. So I think that's the role I enjoy the most, being a teacher, a guide, and a mentor.
Wow, beautifully said, sir. I truly resonate with that because the contentment with which we go to sleep, right? Like after teaching people and they coming and giving the feedback, as you rightly mentioned, sir or ma'am, like you truly changed my life. And then the impact they carry in their environment, that is like stupendous, sir. So thank you for sharing that. So in our podcast, like we have 3 segments, sir. So we enter into the very first segment of our podcast where we deep dive into your wisdom to have a very real conversation, sir. So they say you don't find Chanakya. Chanakya finds you. When did your actual journey with Chanakya truly begin? And what about him continues to fascinate you even today?
So it's been a long journey of almost 25 years now.
Wow.
So that's like almost your half of a lifetime. So the introduction to Chanakya happened when I was a child. I think most of us have heard about Chanakya. In some way or the other, we must have seen some serials, read some books. So I think in our culture, Chanakya is a very common name.
Right.
It's not that you're not aware of Chanakya. But I'll tell you, I started reading a lot because my father encouraged me to read and write. He was an author himself and used to be a voracious reader. So I started reading Chanakya. I came across books like Chanakya Niti, Arthashastra, all those. But let me tell you frankly, I didn't understand anything much. Till one of my
That's
teachers
quite
told me.
surprising. I'm sorry, but then that's quite surprising when you say this.
So there's a saying that every expert was once a beginner.
Right.
So in the initial stages, I said, okay, what is Chanakya Niti? And we had a lot of misunderstandings and misconceptions about Chanakya. He's a shrewd person. He's a very, I would say stern. If you look at his pictures and all during those days, they're like very stern. And he was like out there, crooked, all those.
Right.
So the impression stayed with me till I went and studied. So 2 places when I really got inspired is when I actually went to Kailash Mansarovar. And there, I've been a devotee of Lord Shiva. And I feel it's like his blessings and say, okay, you should study and dedicate your life to Arthashastra. I said, what is this? And okay, what is this? Like, there's a very strange kind of a feeling. But then my wife Surekha told me, check up with one of your spiritual gurus. And he said, you are right. If you are inspired in a place, a divine place like Kailash, it's a blessing in disguise and there's some hidden message for you. And then he told me, why don't you go and study it under a proper teacher? Reading is different, studying is different. So reading a book doesn't make it a study of a book. You require discussions, conversations. You need to attend classes. So I actually went to the research wing of Chinmaya Mission, which I've been associated with, called as Chinmaya International Foundation. And it's situated in a very, I would say, remote place, not exactly remote, but a rural place in Kerala, where Adi Shankaracharya was born. So I went over there, and one teacher, one student. Dr. Gangadhar Nayak taught me the whole 6,000 sutras, also mentored by Swami Advayananji. He is a monk in Chinmaya Mission order. So they inspired me and said, okay. So one teacher, one student was my format. And then as I told him, my teacher told, okay, listen, you need to spread this. That's my Guru Dakshina.
Oh my God.
A lot of people started calling me and say, okay, you have been away for so many months. Where were you? I said, I went to Kerala to study Arthashastra of Chanakya and I wanted to apply that in my business. Oh, really? I'm also a businessman. Why don't you teach us some ideas? I was a marketing guy. I said, okay, I'll teach you the marketing side of Chanakya. So they got very happy. Then Times of India approached me. They said, why don't you write a column? I started writing for Times of India, application of Chanakya in modern day management. Then, of course, my books like Corporate Chanakya came in. And then, of course, I went on to do my formal PhD. I did my MA in Sanskrit. So they were all small steps. But as they say in Hindi, ताली दो हाथ से बजती है, एक हाथ से नहीं. एक हाथ से चुटकी बजती है, but दो हाथ से ताली बजती है. So the
Right.
appreciation started coming in, and I started also, reading and studying more. And at one point, it became like a full-time career. So how did it start? I think it was start small, but think big. Start small, think big. Start thinking big. How can we reach out to maximum people? So even today, after 24 books, I'm writing 4 more books on Chanakya.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yesterday, we got committed to the 5th book of the future.
Wow.
So I like writing simultaneously speaking. I'm a businessman at the same time. I'm a teacher at the same time. I'm a podcaster at the same time. So I'm a teacher, mentor, everything into one box, author also. So I like multiple projects and then, doing everything in one lifetime. Think as if this is your last life and do maximum possible in this lifetime.
Wow, that's quite an interesting journey, sir. So you actually surrendered to the universe, and the universe has given that message to you to spread, give more than what you take. So everything resonates. Like I remember Steve Jobs, graduation speech, right? You cannot connect the dots, looking forward. You can only connect the dots looking backward. So that resonates truly with me, sir. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I feel every leader needs a North Star. And for many, historical giants like Chanakya serve that role, especially in your case, right? That's why you are called the modern Chanakya. And Corporate Chanakya has been my favorite book till now, sir. Thank you. Thank you for producing that. Moving on, Chanakya Niti. These two words, it carries so much of depth. Well, how would you describe it to someone hearing it for the very first time, especially in the context of today's leadership and productivity, sir?
So 2 words, Chanakya and Niti. Chanakya Niti. Chanakya, the person, and what does Niti mean? It's a Sanskrit word. And it means multiple things. Planning. Niti means planning. Niti means strategy. Niti means, the way you work out certain things. It also means policy. So Niti has got a lot of things, including advice. What should be the
Right.
Niti in this particular situation? So if you look at it, Chanakya's policies, strategies, ideas, all these are called Chanakya Niti. But
Okay.
specifically, he wrote a book called as Chanakya Niti. Some people say that this is not written by Chanakya, but collection of ideas by Chanakya by somebody. So like today
Okay.
we do, if you can give me 10 tips of Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs must have hundreds of ideas, tips. But today if you look at AI generation, you just go to Chat GPT and say 10 tips of Steve Jobs. So suddenly it will have 10, lines and say these are the 10 advices. Or, Warren Buffett's 10 ideas on finance.
Yeah.
Now the
Yeah.
idea is that maybe this ideas and the Chanakya Niti book was written by Chanakya or compiled by somebody else. But he actually had written down a lot of ideas, which is now part of Chanakya Niti. Now, what does Chanakya
Okay.
Niti mean? It's got around roughly 350 sutras. Sutras means formulas or advices on how
Okay.
to be successful in this world. Okay? And what he does is that he actually takes up various aspects of a human life.
Okay.
For example,
Okay.
how to actually educate your children. So parenting is an aspect of life. But before that, how to be a good student, how to earn money, how to be a good parent, a householder, a responsible citizen. Now, this is at the worldly level. He also goes to the extent of giving advice how to be very happy in life, both materially and spiritually. He also gives
Okay.
advice how to be street smart. Okay, now that's something. So people say, he's very studious, but every studious person may not be smart.
True. Yeah.
So we say, okay, you have to be studious at one level, but the other level, if suppose an enemy attacks you, okay, you have to be smart. You have to be street smart, as they say. And as they say, in the world, you will meet all types of people. The nice people, the good people, the crooks, the criminals. So, you have to be smart. You cannot say, I've been nice, and a lot of people become emotional. I've been good to everyone, but why did this person cheat me? All these people go to somewhere and don't know the realities of life. If we don't know the realities of life, we definitely are bound to fail. So the planning part of it, how to have a great life and different aspects of life, all this is covered by one book called Chanakya Niti. And I've been very
Okay.
fortunate that I written a commentary on this ideas of Chanakya. You can Google it. There's a book Chanakya Niti by Radhakrishnan Pillai. So it's a very
Okay,
wide
definitely.
topic, it's a very
Okay.
wide topic, deep topic. But what I like is that it's a very practical book which can help you
Mhm.
to be worldly successful and spiritually also successful.
Okay. Amazing, sir. I think in this world of, toxic culture or toxic environment that prevails predominantly, right? I think it's better to pick that book and then become street smart. I love this idea because even today a lot of productivity advice is either like too soft or too rigid. But then Chanakya Niti, from what I have understood from your books or whatever I have researched, it offers a very balanced, strategic yet pragmatic approach to daily effectiveness and dealing with the world, right? With different people, as you rightly mentioned. So, if Chanakya were alive today, would he be a CEO or a leadership consultant or perhaps the most sought after startup advisor, sir?
So I think the first quality is more important than the
Hmm.
role that you will play. And the quality will be
Sure.
detachment. So that
Interesting, sir.
I'll tell the
Could
reason
you
why.
please elaborate?
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
do that. I'll tell the reason why I'm telling that. In life, we play multiple
Mm-hmm.
roles depending on the stages of life and also on the priorities of life and also the
Right.
opportunity. Because I'm sure, if you look back at all successful people, they never planned many things. It came on the way. Like, how did I become an author? I never planned for it, it just happened.
Mm-hmm.
But what is important is that if we actually take up something, you should do it completely perfect. Okay, set a benchmark, but at the same time, don't get attached. Because if you want to be an
Right.
entrepreneur, also, you are a leadership guru, you are a CEO of a company, and you're also a teacher at one place. Chanakya was all that, right? And at the
Yeah.
same time, if you get attached to one role, it's a problem. Because number one is that you will actually start expecting a lot of things. Secondly, is that you will not look at the next opportunity as another way of serving people. So Chanakya started as a good student and then he became a good teacher, another opportunity. So it is said that he went to Takshashila from what we call the modern day Patliputra. So Nalanda is a Takshashila. So he goes all the
Okay.
way as a student. But over there, after being a good student, in Takshashila, he gets an opportunity to teach. You can't say, no, I came as a student, my course is over, now tata, bye bye.
Mm-hmm,
And this is a
mm-hmm.
problem. A lot of people say, okay, now my course is over, let me go back. He wanted to go back. But the
Okay.
Kula Guru at that particular time, and Takshashila said, you're such a good student, you're a topper. Why do you teach the next generation of students? He said, okay. So he became a great teacher. He wrote the Artha Shastra. And then he gets a call from back from Patliputra and say, come back. Now this is a problem. So now we have bad leadership. So the king called Dhananand was not governing very well. So now another
Okay.
opportunity. He said, okay, I've been a great teacher. Thank you. Let me go. Then he becomes a great leadership advisor. He tells Dhananand what to do. But Dhananand doesn't listen. Then, okay, I will create a new student who can become a leader. He comes back and starts a Gurukul in Patliputra where he's got Chandragupta Maurya. Now he suddenly
Yeah.
becomes a
Yeah.
leadership mentor from an advisor.
Mm-hmm.
And then after Chandragupta Maurya was crowned the king, he has to actually tell them systems of governance. Making a leader and advising a leader is different.
Right.
And then
Right.
after the kingdom is set up, everybody is happy, the praja is very happy. Now what to do? Go back and become a teacher again. Become zero. I think the very
Mm.
important part is that Chanakya played multiple roles, but the important part is that in every role that he played, he actually became the best.
Wow.
So why
I love this too.
limit yourself? So I think we have to be
Mhm.
multiple person in one lifetime, but everything that you do it the best.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing, sir. I love these 2 points. Like, you mentioned, right? Like, when you become a student, try to be a teacher also. I always strongly believed in this one particular statement. When you teach others, you actually learn twice. Your knowledge deepens, right? And second point, leaders create leaders. So that actually applies, even till today, which many people are not following. They're keeping that leadership as though it is their own asset. but then they're killing the growth of an organization when we look at, at a bigger picture. So thank you. That was very profound. So how do you think, Chanakya would approach team building, decision making, and conflict resolution differently from modern leadership styles, sir?
So I think we always look at leadership as timeline, ancient, modern, futuristic leadership. So of course, with every changing generation, the aspects of leadership and application will change.
Right.
So maybe a leader in the battlefield, an army general during those days was fighting with swords. Today they may be fighting with missiles. Tomorrow it could be something else because technology will improve, the weaponry will improve, so you'll have different things. Yet remember, the quality of the leader matters. What I have done is that I've studied the past of leadership. I still study, leadership across the world, not only India. So in India, of course, there have been great leaders, both men and women leaders. I study that. When I say, okay, what would have been happening in Greece at that time? What was happening in Australia at that time? It never existed. What was probably happening in deep South Africa or maybe in the Middle East? I study all that and say, okay, there are some principles of leadership. Like leaders should be inspiring. Now, that's what actually interests me, the principles. So whether it's past, present, or future. Now, today, if you like modern leadership, how can we say just because we have technology, we don't want inspiring leaders? No, even today, we require inspiring leaders. Coming back to team building, maybe in the past, Chhatrapati Shivaji also wanted a team. Today, we also want a team. Tomorrow also you'll require a team. But team is not enough. There's a word called commitment of a team. You have a team and you think everything is set, and suddenly one person comes and says, okay, resign. Why? Because I got a better job. Now that's not team. And a lot of people think that creating team is like it has a multiple activity. So one team goes, the next team comes in. So HR has to keep recruiting, training. But a real leader actually inspires a team to stay with you in spite of the problems. I'm telling you, there was a culture, and that culture was that once you join a company, you retire with that company.
Right.
A lot of people debate that it is just because just because you did not have enough opportunities. But it is not true. I've seen so many people even today. If you have a great leader, they will not leave their organization. So in the modern management, there's a research which says people don't leave organizations, they leave their bosses.
Yeah.
So, okay, some less salary is okay. But can you inspire me? Can you make me safe? Can you make me feel inspired to work here? So I know so many companies where, they are not a great brand. But, the leaders create a system, an ecosystem where people say, I'm with you forever. So now leadership is also team building, but team building which is committed forever. So I think a lot of aspects, we go back to the basic principles. And of course, Chanakya speaks about one very important aspect of leadership that is called financial acumen. So you need to understand wealth creation. So during the old days or today, we need to pay salaries, right? We need to make sure that finance are taken care. So I think what I like about Chanakya is a multi-dimensional thinking, even how to handle competition. So I think I love Chanakya because he works on the principles which have stood the test of time.
Right. I think I'm falling in love with Chanakya Niti based on your conversation now, sir. So, sir, I just want to touch base on even conflict resolution because many leaders today, they're struggling with it. So, I have been coaching and mentoring managers and director levels. So people get into this people-pleasing mode. What if I raise my voice? Or what if I a little authoritative? People might leave because, as you rightly mentioned, there are many opportunities, lying there. And then there is no care that is there within the organization. So
Right.
So how does Chanakya or modern Chanakya approach conflict resolution? So
coming back to conflict resolution, see, there is no conflict in the world which cannot be resolved.
Right.
But two conflicts are the same.
Agree.
Right? So you require a kind of a maturity to understand conflict and to resolve them.
Right.
So what happens is that people think that, I've solved a problem, now the solution is over. In a different situation, the conflict can come up. Of course, the famous strategy is Samadhana Bheda Danda, Samadhana Danda. But many people don't know that, we have which one to use when.
Right.
So in certain situations, Sama means discussion. In some situations, it could be, Danda. Sometimes you have to punish people also. And the best way is that, we actually look at how parents do that. You have to discipline a child. maybe they'll first, talk to them nicely. And sometimes they also say, "Swami, Dan, if you study well, I'll give you this."
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, they look forward. Okay, if you don't use your mobile now in the evening, I'll give you 2 hours to use the mobile. Sometimes you give them benefits, all those things. So in every conflict, you should have the wisdom. Now coming back to the point of authoritative leadership, and some
Right.
people are very, there are two reasons why people actually use it, and sometimes you use it. Number one, they think that that's the only way of getting work done from people. If I don't show my power, I will not be able to get productivity there done.
Right, right.
But that is not true because number one, you don't even know that persuasion can be also a style of leadership. So a lot of people use authority and then actually it becomes dictatorial. So we're not saying that you should not use authority. If it is required, you have to use it. In Chanakya's word, it is called Dandaniti.
Okay.
So using the rod to discipline people. So authority is required. Yet, I don't want any leader to become dictatorial or terrorize people if you don't do the work. They will do it, but they're not inspired from within.
Right.
Now, coming back, if you use your power correctly, you can actually inspire people also.
True.
I remember I was this IPS officer, a very interesting person, and he's very popular in Bihar state. And you know the kind of gunda gardi and all you have there.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so this IPS officer, actually, there is a system, if you are a top guy, you're an IPS officer, you got police inspectors below them. So you are, let's say, a superintendent of police. Now, by default, the training is that senior guys who are leaders have to shout at the junior guys who are also leaders.
Okay.
Authority, right? So one
Right.
day what
Yeah,
happened,
yeah.
he was telling me one day what happened. His subordinates, and remember the subordinates are also leaders. They're inspectors and sub-inspectors who have havaldars below them. Imagine they came home and he remembered what his bosses had told him. Use your authority to control your juniors.
Okay. Okay.
He actually started firing them left and right. तो मैं उल्टा क्या पंखे पे लटका दूंगा. I think about it, but they're
Okay.
used to it. ये तो since it's a naukri. And after they had gone, his wife called him and said, why did you use such words? Well, that's a part of training. Well, no, but what is the objective? Objective is to get work
Right.
done, productive, right? And you know what she
Right.
told
Right.
him?
Right.
You know what she told him? Saying that you don't have to shout to raise your voice to show your authority. They already know you are the boss.
Oh yeah.
So, and then it clicked to him saying that, yeah, maybe, I'm being too loud. Maybe the communication has to be improved. And you'll be surprised from then onwards, he never raised his voice, but got more work done from his people.
That's interesting, sir. Yeah.
But don't misuse
Right.
it.
Right. I think with the changing, world, we also have to adopt to different leadership styles, right? So in my leadership programs, I focus, mainly on the leadership style, like, as you rightly mentioned, which leadership style we should use in, which situations. That matters a lot. Otherwise, we have, knowledge, like zillion things in our mind, but then when it is not put into practice, what's the point? So it makes sense, sir. Thank you for sharing that. And moving on, sir, corporate India often borrows, models from the Western countries, right? Do you think our Indian organizations are ready to embrace a Chanakya leadership model?
So I think we should embrace ideas from the Western world. We should. We cannot be left, behind in what's happening in the other parts of the world. So today we are not looking at East versus West. Today we are looking at East and West. And let me do I travel across the globe and I teach Chanakya and I'll also learn some Western principles. And let me tell you, we should respect them because they actually spend a lot of time, effort, money in researching on new management ideas. So this funny idea that, we have to be against the West to prove a point. Sorry. So my way is like, initially my thought was that, in India, when I observed, it was 80-20. 80% from West and we still had Dadi Ma Ka Nuska. So 20% India.
Okay.
Then I thought, let us look at least 50-50. 50 from there, 50 from here. But I think with so much experience that I have now, I think it should be 80-20 reverse. 80% you should believe in Indian traditions and 20% coming from the West.
Absolutely. So 100%. I totally agree. In fact, I feel a lot of companies today struggle because they are like, busy being busy, right? In this rush world. So what big, mindset shifts should we need to adopt the Western things successfully or even our own Indian things successfully? So,
So read Western books, but don't forget to
okay.
read Indian books.
Okay.
Watch the Western podcast, but also listen to Sanika's podcast.
Yes, thank you so much for that. Yeah. So, well, sir, this is a personal question actually. Even the strongest minds, they have their own weak moments, right? When you personally feel that, array, yaar, let's postpone it or well procrastinate. It's too much overwhelming for me right now. Wearing different hats. How do you manage, procrastination or overwhelm, sir?
So I've been very fortunate, thanks to my
Mm-hmm.
parents. Both my
Mm-hmm.
parents actually told me when you have this weak moments, when you don't have the internal strength, go and trust
Mm-hmm.
in God. So my father told me to, and he taught me how to meditate. So as I
Okay.
say, go into your shell, go into yourself, get your inner strength with the help of God. Maybe you want to go to a temple, go and have a discussion with some spiritual guru, read some inspirational spiritual books. Then when you come
Mm-hmm.
out, then you are different. So in your weak moments, accept the reality that this is only temporary. Don't get carried away too much. Go and develop your
Mm-hmm.
inner spiritual strength and come out. So in my weak moments, I go to God, I go within myself and come out more strong.
Oh, wow. This too shall pass.
Absolutely.
So sometimes I think Sir Chanakya, if he had this Instagram reel distractions and all right, I maybe he might have used some Pomodoro techniques or something. But then, yeah, jokes apart, sir, rituals are our modern armor, right, against distractions. So, what is your take on daily rituals? I mean, do you follow any, and how they have shaped your identity, sir?
So there are many daily rituals everybody practices,
Mm-hmm.
as to whether you are aware of it or not. For example, we get up in the morning and brush our teeth, right? Now that's a
Mm-hmm.
ritual. Okay.
Right.
Then probably we get ready and then maybe have our breakfast or whatever. So I
Mm-hmm.
think these rituals are a part of every society.
Right.
Now there are spiritual rituals. So depending on the community, the religion, the country, the culture that you come from, you have certain rituals. Like
Right.
in most of us in India would go and light up a diya or at least go and pray
Mm.
to God. And some people
Mm.
may be chanting some shlokas or verses, doing some prayers. Those are also rituals.
Right. Right.
But let me tell
So,
you one thing. So these rituals actually help you for a certain level of discipline. But you have to
hmm.
also understand the philosophy behind it. You should not be just, mechanical activity. So what I do, my guru told me that, do two things. One is do a ritual. So I do japa every day. I pray to God, I read some sutras. But he told me also understand the philosophy behind it. Otherwise, you
Mm.
can panic.
Right. Yeah. So there is always an intention behind what we do. That's why it is called ritual. It's not a routine. Brushing is a routine, but then, maybe if we have an intention, okay, let me keep my, oral health intact. So that's a, intention coming behind it. Okay.
Right.
So, any morning ritual that you do to keep yourself, maybe energetic or keeping yourself disciplined, right? So, what do you do, sir?
So I do a tree level. It's called BMI level.
Okay.
Body, mind, and intellect. So at the
Okay.
physical level, I do exercise every day. So I
Mm-hmm.
spend a lot of at least an hour exercising myself. And
Okay.
right from yoga to some physical exercise, a lot of them I do, pranayama and all that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
Mm-hmm.
physical level. So that's essential. The second
Okay.
one is at the mental level. I meditate every day.
Okay.
That's another. I actually meditate for 3 hours every day. So I mean, I wish I could do it for 10 hours. I'll get there, but minimum 1 hour.
Wow.
And as an
Okay.
average, 3 hours per day is normal for me at the mental level because that's
Mm-hmm.
also my mental gym. I call it the physical gym,
Oh,
mental gym, and then the third one is intellectual gym. So I
okay.
read a book every day. There have been times, now I don't get so much time because of the busy schedule. But I used to actually
Mm-hmm.
read one book a day.
That's interesting, sir.
So now, of course, I read few paragraphs, but I make sure every day, come what may, at least for an hour, I read a lot. So anytime you come to my office or anytime you interact with me, you'll find me surrounded by books. So the idea is that the three are basic things for me, not only in the morning, but as an activity. In fact, when I go to sleep, you'll be surprised I exercise and then go to sleep. A basic stretching. So
Okay.
physical fitness, mental fitness, and intellectual fitness. All three are important for a healthy life.
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing that. Dear viewers, this is for you, BMI. Remember that BMI gym is your go-to morning ritual. All right. So even we have started something called 5 a.m. Club during COVID to help people, to overcome the rough times, sir. We always used to, do some morning rituals. When you win your morning, you actually win your life because you're setting the GPS for your entire day, right? So thanks for sharing your BMI, sir. And last question in the main segment is, with so much of pain, I'm asking this question, sir. People are chasing EMIs, especially working professionals, right? They're working very hard. They're chasing EMIs at the cost of their inner peace. Sometimes it could be relationships as well. So, how can working professionals apply Chanakya's teachings to manage wealth wisely, reduce stress, and then basically, lead a balanced life, so without stress?
So first of all, it is said in the Mahabharata that anybody who actually takes a loan in any format will never have rest, mental peace. So
Yeah.
let me tell you, it's not just from the banks that you take an EMI. Even if you borrowed something from your friend, back of your mind, you're always saying, when I will pay it back, when I'll pay it back. And EMI is almost like a commitment for 15, 20 years. So I think the first Chanakya Niti is basically try to finish off the loan as early as possible. So you need to do some financial planning because it's not easy. Every month it's in the back of your mind. It doesn't allow you to sleep, and especially it's very tedious. And let me tell you, I know friends who have got into what is called the debt trap. The debt trap is one debt to pay off the EMI, then you get into other debt, and it's endless cycle. Somewhere this vicious cycle has to be broken. If you can plan that, that's actually Chanakya. But I said this also. It actually leads to a lot of mental health issues. Any loan taken and not given back actually makes you worried and then leads to a lot of other issues. If you to EMI, I'm not saying that it should not, but as they say, it has to be good debt. Good. That means it has to be serviceable. And the second, if you don't understand how to do that, get a good financial advisor for you. There are a lot of financial experts today. So the simple formula is that, let's say you have to pay an EMI of, let's say, X amount. You should be at least earning 2X amount. Because, otherwise, whatever you take, it's going on, there's nothing left. So you have to somewhere work on your finance. But at the same time, once you know how to break that vicious cycle, whatever extra wealth you create, you should know how to save it, invest it and all. So it's a very interesting question that you asked, that today our country, you'll be surprised that because we are a developing economy, okay, of course, some segment of a society are super rich, they don't require loans, but maximum people in our country in one form or the other are under loans. Maximum people. And maybe for a house, for a car. And the whole, I would say, the finance industry actually gives you opportunities to take a loan. It could be education loan, housing loan, vehicle loan. And, people have gone to the extent of even pledging their gold and jewelry and a lot of stuff. So I think it's a big sector you are actually spoken about. Yet the reality is that if you don't know how to sort it, I'm not telling you don't take a loan. If it's required, you have to. In fact, people have started giving vacation loans also.
Oh yeah, right, sir. Yeah.
Now, actually, if you look at it, saying that it is actually instant gratification. Enjoy it now, pay later. But actually, the other way around. Enjoy now and suffer forever.
Right. Well said, sir. Yeah.
We require a good advice for this. Yeah, ma'am.
Yeah. So I think the one word answer is financial planning, which will which will eliminate stress. You will have balanced life and then no need of ruining your inner peace. So that is a one word answer then. So I think Chanakya also speaks about multi-dimensional wealth, right? Emotional, financial, intellectual. I think everything should be in harmony to lead a balanced life. So Yeah. So thank you. With that, we come to the end of the main segment. Now, sir, we enter the battlefield of rapid fire round, which is the second segment of our show. So no time to overthink, sir. Just pure Chanakya style sharp thinking, and then shoot out the answers. Sir, you wrote 24 books, which are all bestsellers, and Chanakya's 100 best sutras. It won the Crossword Bookstore's most popular book choice award, right? If I may ask you, what's your favorite book out of all of these 24 books that you have written, sir?
All are favorites. But I'll tell you, as a mother, when you choose among 24 children, I feel like a mother when I look at all these 24 books. So two books will always have special love for you.
Okay.
The first one and the last one.
Okay. Okay.
First one before that made you a mother, right?
Right.
So
Right.
you had no understanding of motherhood. So that pain and that whole efforts that went into getting the first child out. So Corporate Chanakya definitely will be my first book to choose from among all the books. And also Sabse Chota Bachcha, as they say, is always a special child.
Yeah.
So the youngest one is definitely 100 Sutras.
Right.
But as a mother, she'll make sure that she will take care of all the children. So I've been fortunate, be it Chanakya, be it Chanakya, The Art of War, be it Chanakya Niti, all the books have done well. But then since you asked that, because that emotional attachment to the first and the last child is there, I would say these two books.
Okay. Well said, sir. Thank you. And one book apart from yours that you believe every leader in the corporate today must read, sir?
7 Habits of Highly Effective People from the West and Bhagavad Gita from the East.
Nothing can beat Bhagavad Gita, sir. Yeah. Thank you for that. So if Chanakya was your college professor today, what subject would he teach the best? Strategy, economics, or human psychology?
Definitely economics. I love money.
Okay. And would you dare miss his class, sir?
Why should I miss his class? It will be an opportunity to learn from such a great teacher.
True. So your favorite historical character besides Chanakya?
Bhishmacharya.
Why, sir, I may ask?
Is actually the hero of Mahabharata. When I learned the Mahabharata, I've been fortunate to study the whole 1 lakh shlokas of Mahabharata. So apart from Chanakya, I've studied a lot about Indian history. And Mahabharata is 1 lakh shlokas. So think about the volume. It took me 5 years to study it. And my teacher used to tell me, if you have to ask a question, who is the hero of Mahabharata? So a lot of people have answers, and all answers are correct from their own perspective. Krishna is the hero.
Right.
People say Bhishma is the hero. Some people say, Bhima is the hero. Or Draupadi is the main character. She is the heroine because of which the whole Mahabharata happened. Some people say Ved Vyas because he wrote it. But my favorite said is actually Bhishmacharya. Why? So the whole story across 5 generations goes around one common character called Bhishmacharya. And there is a advice of Bhishma in what is called as the Rajaniti Parva. And Bhishmacharya is on the bed of arrows when he's waiting for death. He actually advises the Pandavas after the war how to have a good kingdom. It's a lesson on leadership. Yeah, and it's a great one. Chanakya takes a lot of ideas from Bhishmacharya and uses in the Arthashastra also. And therefore, I call Bhishma plus Acharya is Bhishmacharya. He's the teacher.
Okay. Interesting, sir. Thank you for sharing that. And a couple of more questions. Tea, coffee, or meditation? What's your ultimate productivity fuel?
Definitely meditation, no doubt.
Yeah.
But after meditation, 1 cup of chai and chai pe charcha is good.
Awesome. So, sir, what's one ancient Indian principle you feel today's startups desperately, they need to adopt, sir?
Swadharma.
What does it mean, sir?
So, finding what you're good at, what you're naturally good at. Our education system has actually created a bunch of, similar people. Doctor, engineers. It's like, one mold fits all, one measure fits all.
Right.
But Swadharma is one principle. Everybody is unique. So if you're a dancer, focus on dance. If you're a businessman, become a good businessman. If you're a politician, be the best. So I think a lot of people don't know what they are supposed to do. So typically we are actually lost in life till we realize, "Arey, yaar, pura life waste ho gaya." So if you can find your
Right, right.
Swadharma and build your life around it. Let me tell you this, I came to know this very early, my own Swadharma. I've been born for being a writer,
Mhm.
a speaker, a teacher. I'm happy, and people around me are also happy. In fact, we have to understand one thing: God has given some natural talent to everybody, and
Sure.
we don't
Yeah.
discover it by the time it's too late. So, if we can actually understand Swadharma means natural gift to you, your inherent
Mhm.
behavior or nature. Focus on that, and you will become successful in whatever you do.
Absolutely, sir. Find your true purpose and then be passionate about, fulfilling that purpose. So, thanks for that. And one last question in the rapid fire round. If you had to summarize Chanakya's leadership style in just 3 words, what would they be?
Inspiration, inspiration, inspiration.
Awesome, sir. Thank you. And you have survived our Chanakya challenge, sir, with flying colors. Not just strategy, but then with speed too. So, with that, we come to our last segment of the episode. It is going to be real quick, which is your message to our audience. What does beyond work mean to you? And if you had, just one message to put it on a giant billboard outside every corporate office in India, what should it say, sir?
Together we grow.
As simple
So
as
the,
that. Yeah.
the idea is that a lot of people, especially the corporate world, becomes very individual kind of an approach.
Hmm.
My
Right.
growth, my salary, my career. We don't think collectively. We only have good words like
Hmm.
team building, teamwork. I tell you, in India, we think like a family. We
Hmm.
don't think
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
individual. And it's very easy to bring into the corporate world. Unfortunately, because too much ideas coming from the Western society, where individualism
Hmm.
as a principle has been practiced, and that's also important. I think everybody should be able
Okay.
to balance the individual aspiration with collective efforts. So the
Hmm.
one
Hmm.
line is
Hmm.
together we grow.
Okay. And what does beyond work mean to you, sir?
For me, it's family. I,
Okay.
en- I enjoy time with
Awesome.
my family, and when I say family, it doesn't mean only the four people staying in my house. I've been very fortunate that I have a great social life. Like it's okay. Definitely my wife, my kids, my in-laws, my parents, all this is one family. But I look at my
Hmm.
building, where I stay, there are 35 flats. And an average, let's say, four people. I think everybody's a family. It's one society, right?
Right.
Then I expand myself and say, okay, the whole country is my family, the whole world is my family,
Hmm.
the whole corporate world is my family. Everybody, including you, have become part of my family. So I think we are all
Thank you
socially
so
connected.
much.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
belong to multiple families. So podcasting as a family that we are doing together. And then let's say I have an
Right.
author community. So I work with so many authors,
Hmm.
publishers. That's also family. I have a lot of people,
Right.
who are teachers. I belong to the teacher community. So I think, beyond work, I think I don't differentiate between work and non-work. Everything for me is joy only.
Right, right. Well said, sir. So, corporate leaders, so together we grow, that should be the message. Well, sir, thank you so much for your, valuable time and then, nuggets of wisdom. It was truly, an enriching conversation on a Monday morning with you. And thank you for not just sharing Chanakya's wisdom, but also, helping us see how timeless principles can anchor us in today's fast changing world. Your insights today reminded us that productivity is not just about doing more, but thinking deeper, leading wiser, and living with greater purpose. I genuinely believe, as a productivity coach myself, that the real game changer for every professional and for every leader is not just learning new tricks, but then studying, as you rightly mentioned, rediscovering our ancient truths, but also applying Western principles with the 80-20 ratio and with the courage. Thank you so much for inspiring us to think beyond tactics, beyond trends, and truly beyond words. Yeah.
Sarika, you've been a great host. I think your questions were very well researched, thought through, and I enjoyed this
Thank
discussion with you.
Thank you so much, sir. It's truly an honor to have you on our podcast Beyond Work, sir. Wishing you more power, more impact, and endless success in your journey to light up minds around the world today, sir. Thank you so much.